So, welcome back to the studio. Now we're going to talk about the traumatic event which happened on the 9th of November 2016 regarding the tram crash in Croydon.
Thanks to the extraordinary work of the ambulance services, their quick response and expertise, medics were on site to deal with the aftermath of the horrendous crash.
7 people died on the day and 51 were injured. And it was the first tram incident in the UK where people had lost their lives since 1959.
We are very grateful for Graham Norton and Scott Matter, Assistant Director of Operations in the South West for the London Ambulance Service, to join us today. Hi guys.
Good morning.
So obviously you were present at the crash.
Yeah.
And I know you were working in the headquarters.
Correct.
So you both have different accounts of the events of the day. Would you both mind talking about the actual events of the day and also introduce your roles that you work in the London Ambulance Service?
Okay, so my name's Graham Norton. I'm Assistant Director of Operations for South West London, and basically I'm responsible for all ambulance activity within South West London. My role on the day, I was at headquarters, as I normally am. That's where I'm based most of the time, as the incident unfolded.
I'm Scott Matter, Clinical Team Leader at Croydon Ambulance Station, and was just coming in for my daily duties when I started my shift and the reports were coming in that there was a significant tram crash in Croydon. I made myself available to respond to that incident, which I was sent to via the control that day.
So obviously being part of the London Ambulance Service is an extremely hard job, which is why a lot of people have a lot of respect for men like you and women like you. So what would, obviously this is an extreme traumatic event, even though you face trauma every day, this was a very large scale. What would you say the training that you undergo preps you for this sort of incident?
Okay, so our crews are trained an extensive training program when they start working for the Trust, and that training is ongoing. We train for major incidents involving, if you think of what we have in London, you know, airports, the river, and all sorts of things in London that has the possibility of having a major incident. So crews are well versed. We have policies and procedures in place to deal with any incident in London. And we have an emergency planning, resilience and response team that actually manage all major incidents and the planning and processing of all information leading up to how we operationally manage those incidents. So crews are very ready to assist and respond to any major incident within London at any time.
So Scott, you were obviously at the crash
Yeah.
on the day. Would you mind talking about your experience and liaisons with the other service members and how you all sort of came together on the day to help out?
Yeah, sure. As I said, it was the start of my shift coming in. It was about 6:15 in the morning. Responded to the crash site, liaised with a senior manager, member of management there that was what we called getting a structure in place and delegating roles. I was asked to go down to the crash site and report back, and then that could be reported back to our control room and for the relevant resources to be sent. Challenges of the day: it was still dark, very cold and very wet, and that was the biggest and most difficult part of the environment that we were facing.
Yeah, it wasn't nice day, was it?
So yeah, that was adding. And speaking to other members and senior members that have been to major incidents, that a lot of them felt it was the weather that was the most challenging part, that was different from other sort of major instances that we've been to over the years as a service.
Obviously the tram crash happened so close to school, it was less than a mile away, which created a large sense of panic in the school, with teachers having to reassure students that their friends were okay, as there was the potential that
It was the time everyone was travelling to school.
members of the school could have been on the tram, and we were very grateful for your services that day, as were the whole of Croydon. But what made you choose Trinity as a base in order to help the victims of the incident?
Okay, so as I said, we plan for major incidents throughout London. So part of that planning is identifying sites where we can manage an incident. Now that could be for casualty clearing, parking of emergency vehicles, and in this example, we had somewhere with capacity, sports halls. We had a field we could use, or potentially if we needed to land helicopters or reserve helicopters, because at that time, early on, we don't know how protracted the incident's going to be. So we have to start thinking about resilience for our crews that are in a really traumatic situation, and how we are going to maintain our resilience throughout the day. So we already identify places we can use And when incidents do happen, as it happened on the day, it's really, really quick that we can actually say we need to use this or we need to use your facilities, and which is what we did on the day. So it's already recognised where we can use in any incident within London.
Oh, so it's a pre-planned thing, I take it. So you've got set points where you go, that's where we're going to go if an incident happens.
We're aware of locations we can use in any major incident.
So obviously for the community of Croydon, it was a horrific thing that happened. You know, lots of people were affected, and it sort of brought the community together, I'd say. What was your experience of the community coming together and giving support to you guys, and also to the people who had lost members of their families?
I think on the day, from coming back to the crash site and hearing that local nurseries had their doors open, we were able to use facilities there, tea and coffee, other sort of facilities in the area. Neighbours were just offering help to anybody really that was available. So it was quite nice to actually come back and sort of think, you know, the doors that are open in the community, which was massive, and also with the aftermath of the flowers. And
Yeah, I saw there was a lovely flower display by Sandylands, actually.
Quite moving.
And also the Crystal Palace football team, they gave a shout out to the boy, which I thought was...
I believe there was a minute's silence or something like that.
It was very respectful.
Yeah.
Obviously, there was a huge aftermath of the event. It was traumatic, and it really affected the people of South East London as it was so close to home. What were the London Ambulance Services experience with the aftermath, and how did they deal with the traumatic event?
Okay, so we had many crews involved on that day. Some young, some had many more years service. We had managers involved, so we had a full range of staff involved in that incident for some, as I said, for some protracted hours during the day. So during the day and during any major incident, it's not always the time you're actually dealing with the scene or dealing with the patients or dealing with the incident. It's the aftermath, as you say, when you've gone home, when you come away from work, and then you start to think. So we have extensive counselling services in place with the London Ambulance Service, and all staff and managers that were involved in the incident on the day were debriefed and offered counselling and assessments if required to assist them to deal with some of the images or instances they dealt with on that day. So, and that continues now. So, you know, any crews that are still requiring assistance or counselling of any sort, or welfare assistance, we are still giving that to our staff, and that can be ongoing. That can go on for some time.
I mean, I have so much admiration for you guys and the work you do, because even reading in the newspaper some of the accounts, you can only imagine what you guys must have heard about, and I think
the sense of panic as well, because there were so many unidentified bodies and people being extremely stressed out with their families on the trams and stuff. We have a large amount of admiration for you, and thank you for your services on that day.
And you dealt with the situation immensely well, so thank you so much, and thank you for joining us today on the show as well.
We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And now we cut to reporter Freddie, who visited Queen Mary's University to investigate animal welfare and species-specific research at the Blizzard Institute.